Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Max AC channel. For this episode, I thought that I would try another pretty simple recipe today, Salmon Meunière. You might recognize this from the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where all you need to do is throw a hearty salmon with tabantha wheat and goat butter into a pot over an open flame. These ingredients are actually pretty accurate, but for this recipe, you're going to need just a few more. Specifically, you will need 7 ingredients. Salmon, obviously. I guess you could substitute this with another type of fish, but then it wouldn't really be Salmon Meunière. Though this recipe should be pretty much the same, other than the fish you use, of course. You'll also need some flour, instead of using wheat, unless you want to grind your own. Salt and pepper. Or should I say pepper and salt? Oil, butter, doesn't necessarily need to be the goat variety, and a lemon, specifically the juice. For a true Meunière sauce, you technically also need parsley, but I didn't have any, so no worries if you don't either. But it does make it better, so do use it if you do have it. In terms of prep, there's not really a whole lot to do. Just heat up the pan with about a tablespoon or so of oil per fillet on medium-high heat. I probably should have put a little bit more oil than I did, and you'll see why in a sec. While that's warming up, season your fish on both sides with a bit of salt and pepper and coat it with flour. But before that, make sure to dry your fish properly. Once the pan is hot enough, dust off the excess flour and place your salmon into the pan and sear them for about 2 to 4 minutes on each side. The exact timing will of course depend on the thickness of your fish and how hot your pan is, so just use feeling.
Just use feeling.
Also, if your fish has skin on it, put it skin side down on the pan first. If your pan starts smoking like mine, don't panic. Just turn down the heat a little bit and turn on the range hood and or open a window, as you can hear me do right now. That'll help minimize the smoke and keep the fire alarm from going off. But, and this goes without saying, if you can, try not to burn it in the first place by putting in the right amount of oil. Whenever I cook fish, I usually look to the sides to determine when to flip it. Once the sides are starting to look like this, that's when they're good to go. Then it's just another 2 to 4 minutes. I realized that the heat was on way too hot here, so I turned down the heat to medium and added a touch more oil. I was panicking a little, so I grabbed the wrong oil, but any oil or butter would work well to draw out some of the heat quickly from the pan. Another tip to reduce the burning is to take the fish off the heat occasionally, as you can see me do here. The fish will still cook as the pan will still be hot, but you eliminate any additional heat from being added, making it harder for the flour to burn as much. Once it's done, remove the salmon from the pan and turn the heat down to medium if you haven't already done so. Then add about 1 tablespoon of butter per fillet to the pan and brown the butter for about a minute. So in terms of the origins of this dish, the word Meunière is actually French for miller's wife, and I'm not talking about this one. Spoilers for New Girl, I guess, but I mean, 1, the show ended like 4 years ago, and 2, there's no way that they weren't going to have them get married at the end, right? But back to the topic at hand. Of course, millers were the ones that grinded? Millers were the ones that milled the wheat into flour. So of course, back in the day, the miller's wife would then use the flour to cook with. Thus, cooking something à la Meunière refers to cooking it by first dredging it in flour. During this time, you'll want to scrape the pan with a non-metallic spoon, or spatula in my case, to loosen any brown bits. Then, this is where you'll stir in the chopped parsley if you have it, and then add the lemon juice afterwards. At this point, turn off the heat and take the pan off the burner so that the sauce does not burn. I of course cannot follow my own instructions, but don't be like me and do it properly. Also, keep stirring the sauce as this will keep it from burning as well. Once it looks good, pour it over the fish, and there you have it. Salmon Meunière. I think it looks pretty good here, but let's try dressing it up a little bit. Fun fact, when I was younger, I thought this dish was pronounced Salmon Meunière.
Manure! I hate manure!
But at least I knew it wasn't pronounced salmon. But interestingly, salmonella, which you can find in manure, is not pronounced salmonella. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. In the comments below, let me know how it went if you decide to make it, and let me know if there's anything you want me to make next. Like the video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to this channel for more episodes of the Max AC channel. And remember, if you want to stay cool in the kitchen, turn your AC to the max and watch the Max AC channel.